Greece became the next domino to fall in the debt debacle following Dubai. Greece's Prime Minister George Papandreou spoke to politicians and employer groups yesterday in Athens. As you know, Bloomberg partners with the FT to bring you Lex on Bloomberg, so you can get a sneak peek at the Financial Times' flagship column a day early. Paul Rathbone joins me now live from London. And in what way did Papandreou fail to address problems when he spoke last night?
Well, I think it's way too early to start calling Greece the next domino to fall, because it actually hasn't defaulted yet. Or it may even probably won't default. But there are large concerns about its fiscal deficit and debt to GDP ratios, the concerns about sovereign debt that have been sweeping through markets lately. And basically, the Prime Minister last night outlined some worthwhile goals about how to reduce the deficit to below the Maastricht 3% of GDP level by 2013. And the goals were all very well, but it was the method in which he said Greece would do this. And there was lots of talk about greater efficiency measures, less corruption, trimming the army, but actually very little in the way of revenue-raising ideas or of budget cuts. There was talk of a 90% bonus super tax for bankers, obviously designed for domestic consumption, but at the same time, real wage increases for Greece's civil servants.
Sure, raising revenue, a big challenge for any government right now. What kind of implications could this have for other markets or countries in the Eurozone?
Well, it's just important to get a few things straight about Greece. First off, it's a relatively small economy in the Eurozone. It's about 3% of Eurozone GDP. So it's important, but it's not necessarily, it's not core, that's for sure. The other point about Greece is it's often viewed as the black sheep of the Eurozone, and in the past there's been lots of EU and European Central Bank support for the idea that if Greece got in trouble it would be helped. Now, this is kind of a mixed blessing. It's moral hazard writ large, and there's been no retraction of those statements subsequently. But clearly, if investors did believe that there would be a bailout or painless bailout, then spreads of Greek bonds over German bunds would not have gapped wider as they have. Having said that, there is a precedent for where Greece could go. It's got one of two choices. It could take the Irish route, which is to pull the belt very tight, or it could take the East European route. Countries like Romania and Hungary that earlier on in the crisis got EU and IMF funding, but it came with strict conditions attached. So that is a possible way out for Greece looking ahead.
Okay, thank you so much. We've been speaking with Paul Rathbone of the Financial Times in London.